Hello everyone, I'm Emelena, and today I wanted to talk about my experience with living with voices in my head. Now, one of the reasons I was inspired to make this video is because lately I've been getting a lot of recommendations in my feed about schizophrenia simulations, what it's like living with voices, like actually simulating the voices, and people who are not schizophrenic or schizoaffective attempting to deal with, voices, like listening, like with headphones that simulate voices and things like that. And I thought, some of these are pretty accurate, and a lot of them are not, at least not to my experience. And so I wanted to talk about what my experience is like. Now, one of the reasons I started this channel was to try and destigmatize this disorder and also reach out to people who feel alone, who feel that they're suffering with these symptoms and they don't know where to turn. Sometimes all it takes to make you feel a little bit better is knowing that other people go through the same thing and have found ways to cope. I know that when I was 10 to 20 years younger, I really could have used somebody telling me that I'm not alone, somebody telling me that things will get better and that there is hope and a light at the end of the tunnel. And so that's what I aim to do with a lot of my videos. I want to reach out to those suffering and just say, hey, it'll be okay. So one of the first types of voices that I think most people hear about, and it might even be the type of voice that most people think are the only ones in existence, which are command voices. Now these are relentless, aggressive, drill sergeant type voices that tell you what to do 24/7 if you are suffering in psychosis. Now I don't hear voices all the time, and I take my meds, so they're much fainter now and less prominent, but when I am suffering through psychosis or having psychotic symptoms, I will hear command voices trying to direct me to do and say things that are not so great for your mental health or your health in general. I will be blunt here. Very often these command voices will tell me to hurt myself, like cut myself, drown myself, start a fight with my boyfriend that will result in, a hurt for both of us. Very often they will tell me to do nonsensical, silly things like get naked and go run around outside screaming about mayonnaise. Yeah, that was something that I was told to do. And for the record, I fucking hate mayonnaise, so I have no idea why it went there. Maybe because it knows I hate it, but whatever. They get more aggressive over time if you try to ignore them. And they do not respond with very much logic if you ask them why they say the things they say. And you will find that this is a pattern with many of the different voices that I hear. For instance, I hear very many mean, rude voices that tell me I'm worthless, tell me I deserve to be isolated, tell me that nobody loves me. They tell me that I am a waste of space on this earth and that I should off myself. And again, if I question them on why do you think this, what is your reason for saying such horrible things, they will just tell me like, well, you suck because you suck and that's why you suck. Like, absolutely no logic whatsoever. I also have voices that reinforce my anxiety, telling me not to go outside, telling me not to drink or eat certain things, telling me I will choke, telling me I will suffocate, telling me that, nobody in this world loves you and you have every reason to be alone. You suck as a person and you should die alone. You should live alone. You should never have any connections. Or they'll tell me that your boyfriend doesn't love you. He's only with you because, he doesn't want to, go through the trouble of breaking up with you. Or your boyfriend's cheating. He found someone else who's way better than you. Or you're too fat and ugly to deserve love. And then they'll go towards like my fears, which is like, you're going to suffocate to death. Your lungs are going to collapse. You're not going to be able to breathe. Water is going to burst through the windows and everything in the apartment. And you're going to drown, crazy shit. And you can only hear these voices so much before you start to give in. Before you start to just be like, okay, you're right. I'm worthless. You're right. I have nothing to live for. You're right. Maybe I should do the unthinkable, right? And thankfully that I'm medicated and live a much healthier lifestyle than I used to, I don't really deal with voices like this all the time. They do happen when I'm under extreme stress, but it's not a constant everyday thing. And if you're wondering if there's any positive voices, yes, there is one. In fact, I have given him a name. He is named after the Archangel, is it Arc? It's Arc, yeah, the Archangel Michael, because I used to think of him as a very angelic, kind voice. The best comparison I have for him is if you've ever played Disco Elysium, Volition from Disco Elysium very much resembles this voice in that he is always encouraging me to do my best, to keep going, tell me that I do have worth and value, and that I'm a great person and I deserve all the love and kindness in the world. And that voice has saved my life on several occasions, I have to tell you. Now, if I were to suffer through nothing but negative voices telling me to die, telling me I'm worthless, telling me I have nothing and that I mean nothing and yada yada yada, I'm not sure that I would have made it to 37. I'm not sure that I would have even tried at all in my life. Like I said, this voice is very much like Volition, so it encourages me to get out of bed in the morning. And when I used to work, it encouraged me to get up and go to work, to shower, to get my everything in order. It encouraged me to keep going no matter how hard things got.
I'm on your side. Subdue the regrets. Dust yourself off. Proceed. You'll get it in the next life. Do what you can with this one while you're alive.
And it would often argue, and still does at times, with the negative voices trying to tell me that I'm worthless. There is often a clash in my head between these voices. And here's the thing. If you think that sounds really difficult to live with and deal with your day, well, there's a reason why I no longer work. There's a reason why I'm terrified of leaving my house. And that is because these voices have crippled me, essentially, and taken away my ability to live independently. And even though I don't really deal with them anymore, because like I said, I take my medication and I live a much healthier lifestyle, they are still there. And those fears and anxieties that I get, they manifest in the form of voices very often, where I will actually hear a voice telling me, your throat's going to close, you are going to die. So, speaking of Disco Elysium, by the way, I'd like to bring up another nice voice from Disco Elysium called Half-Life. Light, half-light, not life. Half-Light is an intrusive thought and a half. This voice comes in and tells Harry all the time, the character in the game, to do horrible things like start fights, shoot people, punch literal children. Although to be fair, Kuno is fucking annoying and probably deserves it. And it always takes everything as a threat. And I remember watching a video about Half-Light. It was like a video where it was just went through all its quotes. And I swear, like, it either said, or someone in the comments section said, never miss an opportunity to change a minor inconvenience into life-changing violence. And that is how I feel about, the intrusive thoughts. They come with images as well. So I will see images of myself strung up, or of myself being hit by a car, or bludgeoned to death, or stabbed to death, or something horrible, alongside voices saying, this is what you deserve, you're gonna die, don't go outside because this is gonna happen to you. Crazy shit. Over time, these things wear you down. You can try to ignore them as much as possible. You can argue with them. You can try and tell them to shut the fuck up, which is what I usually do. But there are times when you might just capitulate, like with the command voices, like telling me to turn the sink on and off again. Like I might just do it just to shut it the fuck up. And guess what? It doesn't shut up. It just tells you to do something else. Okay? Like, for instance, many years ago, my boyfriend and I got into a fight. And this is when we were both really unhealthy. So yelling and being mean to each other was pretty common. And thank God we're not like that anymore. But I have to be honest about my past and what this disorder can do. And also, my boyfriend wasn't very healthy either. We were both in mentally bad states. And we got into this huge fight over I don't even know what. And the command voice kept telling me to rip up the picture of him, rip up pictures of him, rip up pictures of him. You'll rip up those pictures of you two together. You don't belong together. He doesn't love you. So rip up those pictures. And finally, I just did it. I just ripped up one of the pictures and then it was like, rip up another one. And it made me realize, like, it doesn't matter if I listen and do what you say. You're just going to come up with some other nonsensical, illogical shit for me to do. And you have to remember, this is at a time when I was extremely unhealthy. I was smoking weed, I was drinking, and I wasn't taking my pills as regularly as I should. And so I was dealing with full-blown psychotic symptoms and delusions and voices, and on top of that, trying to maintain a relationship that was pretty unhealthy. And thank God we got out of that stage, and now we have a pretty happy and healthy life with very little fighting and arguing and great communication. And it just goes to show that if you keep working on shit, it can work out. So, You might be wondering, how do you deal with these voices when they come around? Well, I've learned some methods, which is questioning them and asking them, like, you know, what is your reason for saying this? Like, for instance, I will ask a voice that tells me that I have no worth or value, and I will say, what makes you say that? And sometimes its reasoning will be really flimsy, like based on something I said or did when I was 12 years old. Or if I ask the anxiety voices like, hey, why do you keep telling me that I'm going to suffocate to death? And they'll be like, well, don't you feel that ball in your throat? Which is just a panic attack, by the way. Or it'll tell me like, well, because you deserve to suffocate. And it's like, okay, why do I deserve to suffocate? Because it's your greatest fear. Okay, but like, why do I deserve that? And it'll just go in this circle where there's no logic. And after a while, you can kind of just be like, okay, well then shut the fuck up then. Like, and thankfully, I have the volition-like voice that'll also help shut these voices down. Sometimes I have these existential thoughts about the end of the world and how, you know, I haven't done anything in life worth anything, and how I'm, you know, trying to be a writer, but I haven't published anything, and I just feel like my meaning and worth here is dwindling by the day. And the volition-like voice will step in, and he will tell me like, no, it doesn't matter that you haven't accomplished everything that you want to do yet. You still have time, and you will make it. And then the half-light voices will step in and be like, no, you should have done this by the time you were 25 or 30. You should have done this, this, and this. You haven't succeeded at anything. You are a loser, and you deserve to die. And it is so frustrating dealing with this back and forth. And I just try my hardest when this is happening full blown to ignore it. You have no idea how often I might just be sitting here like this. That's what's going on in my head. It takes so much mental strength to get through this. And if you are dealing with psychotic symptoms or with any type of mental illness, I just want you to know that you're strong and you will overcome it. You are a person with value and with worth. And the voices are not right. The ones that tell you you have no worth, or the ones that tell you you're this or that, or tell you to do these crazy illogical things, those voices are not worth listening to. You need to put more positive voices in your life through friends, family, maybe get on the internet and talk to people in support groups, maybe go to therapy, talk to professionals, whatever it is. These negative voices are not the end all be all, and you will make it.